Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com.
I'm Bob. How's it going?
Bob and I are here today to talk about a new ski from Dynastar as well as a whole new line of skis from Dynastar. We're in the M era for Dynastar now.
Yeah, lots of M's.
M's, we've now got M Tour, M Pro, M Free.
Yep.
Am I forgetting anything? I don't think so.
No?
And now we've got M-Cross.
Yep.
And before we get into the details, basically this line kind of replaces the 4x4, the speed 4x4 skis.
Yep.
And those were always sort of, would you say, like pseudo hybrid front side end all mountain skis?
Yeah, and they didn't do themselves a whole lot of favors because they had speed and then
really
speed
confusing.
4x4, very similar looking skis.
Yeah.
Everyone that got on them
Totally.
liked them.
Yeah, I
But
really liked them.
It was
that
just
82.
Yeah, that 82 was great.
Yep.
And I think that they just kind of got lost in the sea. And we hear it all the time. There's way too many options.
Sure.
And you're not doing yourself favors by making them sound the same and look the same.
I mean, it was to the point where like even you and I got confused.
And they're right outside our office over there.
Literally right outside.
Yeah.
And we would be like, is that the Speed 963 or the Speed 4x4 963?
Right.
And it got very confusing.
So problem solved.
Yeah. Good job.
Yep.
Now we've got M-Cross and basically three skis. We've got 78, 82, which kind of correspond more to those now outgoing 4x4 skis. And we've got this new M-Cross 88 that is over there next to Bob that we're going to be focusing on today. And I think it's interesting that Dynastar has, specifically within the M Pro line, we've got 85 and 90.
Yep.
Now we've got a ski right in between there. We also have an M Free 90.
Yeah, they have a lot
So
from
there's
85 to 90.
Yeah, so I just think it's like an interesting concept, and I think it'll be fun to kind of discuss how this ski fits in that and why it can make sense to have those three different skis that are so close in width.
Yeah, and we grabbed the 90 here, the M Pro 90 as a prop. You, I think, would gravitate towards the 85.
I just thought it was, I don't know.
Yeah, but I grabbed this one.
The 85 has red sidewalls, right? It would have kind of matched.
A little bit more match. Yeah, you're right.
But this is closer in waist width.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's interesting, and I actually think it's a really fun comparison to make this ski against the M Pro 85.
Yeah.
I think those are actually closer in performance, even though those two are closer in width. But anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here. And if you're curious, this is the M-Cross 78 that we have here. Really, the story here is more value.
Yep.
This does not get the same construction that we're about to talk about. A little bit more basic here, but I think still a really good ski.
Yeah, and one of those skis that's like dollar for dollar, great performance for the value.
Yeah, what was it, $4.99?
With the binding, yeah.
Yeah, so pretty killer price there. And Bob, I'm very interested to hear about construction of that ski, but before we do, I also think this ski is fun to piggyback off. This is gonna sound weird, but the Mirror's Core review.
Yeah.
Because there's kind of been this theme over the past few years of look at all these interesting shapes. Is this a glimpse into the future? Are we gonna see more of this concept? And I actually think this ski kind of carries that forward. Yeah,
that was, when you kind of think about it numbers wise, that one comes to mind for sure. And we had a few others that we can talk about later, but certainly in terms of that shorter turning, fun, all mountain carving ski, this M-Cross 88 certainly fits into that.
Yep.
I'll just jump right into construction. It seems a natural transition.
Certainly.
And kind of similar to what we see in Mirror's Core with how they're kind of putting their materials in the ski. There is kind of a lot to talk about here. Basically, it starts with a more eco-friendly design. We've seen their hybrid core used in M Pro and M Free for a while now, And basically what they're doing is taking polyurethane material, kind of started back with Legend. They experimented with it in kind of the sides of the forebody. And then once those went away and M-Pro and M-Free came in, they just extended that polyurethane material all the way down the sidewall, basically just moving the sidewall further into the ski with that kind of plasticky PU material. Makes it really smooth and energetic and quiet and interesting. And if you've never skied on one of those hybrid core skis, there's something there.
It seemed like it was most noticeable with the M-Free skis.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there wasn't really anything else there.
Right.
And you were really feeling what the core itself could do.
Right. It's like, how do they make that 108 feel as smooth and energetic as it is?
Like sometimes it feels like it has metal.
Yeah. But that continues on. They're now using their hybrid core 2.0. Very much more of an eco-friendly design here. Huge focus in kind of the online literature that we've received from Dynastar's marketing. And the best way I can describe it is that they're using kind of joinery techniques as opposed to more traditional like glue and sandwich.
Yeah.
So they're removing those processes from the construction of the ski, going with a tri-directional wood laminate. And sounds like a lot. We have some graphics to back up the theory.
Yeah. Well, like for me at least, what do they call it? Tri-directional?
Yeah.
So like my mind quickly went to triaxial fiberglass braiding. And I was like, whoa, how are they like cross-hatching the wood?
Yeah.
And it's not that at all.
No.
But it is very cool. And I think it makes a ton of sense for minimizing the amount of epoxy you have to put in there.
Yeah, I think that process of the adhesion of the ski really kind of takes a toll in terms of materials and environmental impact. So
and weight.
And weight.
We've talked about that before. Like, I think it's very easy for skiers to think about what makes a ski heavy, and their mind goes to like things like metal.
Yeah.
But really, like if you think about like the weight of epoxy, like it's a dense liquid, basically, and it's very heavy. And when you have to put a lot of it into a ski, that's when you start to see heavier builds, like a K2 Poacher, for example, which uses a ton of fiberglass and thus a ton of epoxy.
Yep. So they've moved away from that with this ski. So the three directions are a little bit difficult to kind of verbalize.
The visual's nice, though.
The two horizontal layers on the bottom, and then kind of the best I can describe is their top wood layer is milled, and then the second layer is kind of interlocked in like that. So there's interlocking stringers of the vertical axis of wood combined with the multiple horizontal laminates. So they're really kind of interlocking the wood using, friction basically to hold it all. They do have the fiberglass, unidirectional fiberglass laminate on top. It's kind of a necessity, but it really greatly reduces the amount of those layers that get that adhesive process applied. So that's the 2.0 version, is that they're using the wood and kind of like that joinery method.
Yeah.
Like I love watching those YouTube videos. These people, the carpenters, are drawing these lines and taking these pieces out of this wood, and then it goes together and there's a chair. Yep. And there's no hardware, there's no glue, there's no nothing.
And it actually kind of seems like a trend of the industry in general.
Yeah.
Like just tomorrow, we're going to have another conversation about not exactly the same type of construction, but a similar concept of like, whoa, well, like how are these different layers and materials actually interacting with each other, and how can we make this better?
Yep. So cool new stuff from Dynastar, especially on the environmental realm. And, in my mind, if you can make a ski that performs equally as well and have a lower footprint, then so much the better.
Yeah, and I think it was by 2016, Dynastar their goal is to have 45% of their products kind of adhering to a similar eco-friendly build. Commendable.
Yeah, totally. And if they can do it, that's great. And like the performance speaks on its own.
Yep.
We have an H-Tech metal laminate in here. I don't want to say H-shaped because that takes it away from Black Crows.
Right.
But they call it H-Tech. It is, for all intents and purposes, an H-shaped laminate that goes underfoot.
I think shorter than any application in Black Rose skis.
Yeah, this is the 176, and it goes from my thumbs to my thumbs. So extends a little bit towards the tips and tails, kind of borrowing from what we see with M-Pro in terms of how they're putting that metal laminate in there. Certainly assists with edge grip underfoot as well as stability. These arms do a good job of keeping that ski planted on the snow, as well as providing that nice damp, stable rebound out of the tail.
Yep.
That's construction. You know, it's complex in that it's new and they've taken a different approach, but for all intents and purposes, it's, you know, pretty standard stuff as far as Dynastar is concerned.
Yep. Before we look at shape, which I think is very interesting, equally as interesting as construction, I think.
Yep.
I do want to look at flex pattern because I think that's important when we start talking about performance. It's like fairly robust throughout, but then I find this tip is far and away the softest point of the ski.
Yeah.
Or at least it really feels like that when you're skiing it. So I just wanted to take a second there to kind of touch on flex. Like I bet I can't bend that tail nearly as much.
No, but when you put this M-Pro 90 next to it, the tail
much stiffer over there.
Considerably stiffer.
And that ski is considerably stiffer throughout.
Yeah.
And this isn't like the stiffest ski in the world. It's like there's some strength to that flex pattern.
Yep.
And then, shape gets really interesting. So we'll start with rocker profile. Mostly camber in this ski, really, and you got a lot of it.
Yep.
But then we do have quite substantial tip rocker up here. I guess substantial, when I say that, I mean for a ski that's 88 underfoot.
Yep.
There are plenty of skis out there with less. Obviously, as you get wider, there's a ton of skis with more. Not much tail rocker whatsoever. I would call that a flat tail.
Yeah, when you don't push it together, when you leave it kind of uncambered, it's really more apparent that
there's
that
not
goes
much
pretty much
back
right
there.
to the end.
Yep. And then I think the most interesting thing about this shape, you take that one back, Bob, is how big this tip is.
Yeah.
And that's obviously by design, but I think that's a really important design element in this ski. And we have 135 millimeters in the tip, obviously 88 underfoot, and then 117 in the tail. And Bob, if you wouldn't mind, since you're standing right next to it, would you read me the dimensions of that M-Pro 90?
Sure, Jeff. 120, 89, 110 in the 178.
So this is, 15 millimeters? 15 millimeters wider in the shovel.
Yeah.
And 1 millimeter narrower underfoot, which is drastically different.
It contributes to a very different feel on snow, for sure.
And that shape in this ski, this is the 176, results in a 14-meter turn radius.
Whereas this is 18.
Correct. So very different.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. So I think that's about it for construction and shape. I think that tells the story pretty nicely. Bob, you seem to get along with this ski quite well.
We were fast friends.
Yeah, you and the M-Cross 88. Yeah. Why is that?
In the same way that like you really gravitated towards the Mirror's Core as a shorter carving, playful ski.
Yep.
You like the symmetry of that.
I do. I love it. Yeah. Yep.
I like the asymmetry of this.
Which I think is fascinating.
Yeah. So like we talk about the Mirror's Core as an interesting comparison because it has the metal underfoot, because it has a short turn radius.
Yep. And it kind of ends there.
And it kind of ends there.
Yeah.
Where we kind of make it a little bit more of a stretch is with the line blade.
Yeah.
So this is like, for all intents and purposes, like a narrower footprint of a line blade.
Yeah, it's like a lighter, narrower blade.
Yeah, which I really like.
Yep.
That has the more directional, less symmetrical shape and character to it. So similar to this M-Cross 88. But yeah, I really enjoy kind of that longer initiation phase in the turn and then kind of that snappier tail.
Yep.
So I like the difference between tip, waist, and tail, whereas I feel like you really enjoy just that full aspect of the more symmetrical Mirror's Core.
Something about like fore-aft initiation or lateral initiation,
Yeah.
where I think the fore-aft initiation of this aligns more with how you like to ski.
Yeah.
Where on the Miras Core, I can just roll it.
Yeah.
And it like, I don't know, it's just different.
Yeah,
But
no,
I think it's just interesting that we had kind of slightly different takes.
Yeah. And I like feeling that power band in the middle, just right underfoot with that metal, a little bit towards the tail here, right where that side cut starts to really kind of push you out into that next turn. I had zero issues getting this thing to hook up, hold, and complete. Like I found 3 very distinct phases of a turn in this ski, which I really enjoy. So on the groomers, like there's a whole lot to like about this. It's light, it's like 1,750 grams, a little bit under 1,800.
Easy to ski.
Yeah, easy
Forgiving,
to ski, no problems.
Not tiring.
Nope, and you can get a lot of energy out of it. So it's a different energy than what we feel from M-Pro here, which kind of wants to hold on a little bit more.
Yep.
This is easy to release, easy to get from turn to turn, and just a whole lot of fun. No issues whatsoever. Really like this thing.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I think for me, I like, and I think this is where I like to compare them to the M-Pros. I wanted to ski it like an M-Pro 90, and it doesn't want to be skied that way. I think, obviously that's reflected in the turn radius. I don't know. I like totally appreciate the ski. I think it's great. I think like there's a ton of people that are going to really enjoy it, and like basically for the same exact reasons why we've been enjoying these other short radius skis. I think it like the kind of directional shape and skiing style makes a lot of sense there. I think I had a harder time finding like its sweet spot. Like I was very appreciative of the whole experience, and like never once was I like, this is a bad ski. I don't enjoy this. But it like I didn't feel super confident to either generate a really high edge angle, which I generally like to do, and like on the M-Pros, that's like something that's really kind of like fun and challenging too. And like you never feel, I've never found the limit of an M-Pro. I probably physically do not have the strength to find the limit of an M-Pro. I kept having that mindset trying to ski these and wasn't quite nailing it, but it's kind of like, do you remember the day that we skied the Forza 60 and we skied something really steep and then we went and skied kind of some lower angle terrain? And I was like, oh, that's it. I pretty much had the same experience on this ski. Like if you keep it to moderate speeds and medium radius turns or skidded turns, it's fantastic.
And that's what most people are going to do.
Correct, exactly.
No one's going to buy this thing looking for like Kendo or Brahma like
or M-Pro 90 or M-Pro 99.
Yeah, it's a
and it
different
totally
thing.
makes sense. And it was like, I think sometimes it can be hard when like these skis are narrower than M-Pros as a whole collection. Like that collection is narrower, and my first reaction to just the numbers is better carver. And I don't think that tells the correct story with M-Pro to M-Cross.
And I wouldn't even say that about the M-Pro 99, which is a very high performance ski, high performance carver. Then we're getting out of Brahma Kendo and into bona fide Mantra, where those skis are very, very capable carvers. Like that M-Pro 99 is no slouch. Like that thing gets overlooked as a high performance ski all the time. So it's no wonder that even when you go wider underfoot, you're getting a better carver with the construction of M-Pro 99 versus this, which is, it's a lighter duty. But that's what the majority of skiers are in. We talked about this considerably with M-Pro 85. Like this is a ski for the people.
100%.
This is for people that are spending most of their time on trail. Want an easy ski, nice confident carver with some versatility. No one's also going the other way saying, "Wow, this fat tip must really float." It's it's going to do fine, but it's still that combination of camber and that short turning radius is going to keep it from those real soft snow enthusiasts.
I think it could be a great learning tool, or like I feel like that's like, does it have negative connotations when I say learning tool?
Yeah.
Like I don't want it to, but I feel like it probably does. And like when I say learning tool, like I'm still learning.
Right.
You're still learning. Everyone's still learning. Like I don't mean like, oh, if you're a beginner, you should get this ski because you can learn to be an advanced skier. I mean, it's a good ski to work on your technique and to improve. So I think that's always a benefit to a ski. Anytime it promotes skiing better.
Right.
I think that's a cool part about a ski. Again, like rather than something like an M Pro 99.
Yep.
Or like that's not like promoting you to ski better.
Right.
It's probably just kind of like kicking your butt. If you don't already have that technique, it's not going to help you get there. You brought up the tip, and that you wouldn't necessarily like choose it as a soft snow ski or think like, oh, this is going to be a powder ski. Look how wide this tip is. We didn't film it much off-piste, but I do think that helps a lot. Yeah. And it's like, we've talked about tip to tail taper before. So not like early taper in the, like here's the widest part of the ski, taper in the difference between tip width and tail width.
Yeah.
And if you have a big difference in tip width and tail width, it allows for easier tail release and gives the ski a little bit more intuitiveness when you're making shorter turns and challenging terrain. I think when you take that and you kind of put it into these numbers, this width, that'll help you float a little bit.
Sure.
Like if you're skiing like 6 inches of snow, that's going to stay on top of the snow more often than not, allowing your tail to sink, which allows for very easy speed control and that good maneuverability. Even though there's not tail rocker back there, because it's so much narrower than the tip, it's not going to feel catchy.
Yeah.
So I think that's like, and if you look in Dynastar's catalog, if you look, like read Dynastar's description of this ski, they describe it as somebody who spends most of their time on groomed trails and wants to venture off trail a little bit. Yeah. And I think that's like, that's the perfect way to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely got a whole lot of tricks in the bag.
Right.
Like more so than you would think, you know, because it's kind of the evolution of that 4x4 series. Yeah. And they're like, okay, we had something great on trail and we're going to expand it a little bit. Right. And I think that really fits this M-Cross.
And this is 88. Definitely better off trail than the 4x4s.
Totally. You know, those were off trail a little bit cumbersome.
I never once skied a speed 4x4 82 and thought, I'd like to go off trail now. For me, it was just like, that was a rip and carving ski and I enjoyed skiing it, but it never felt like a versatile ski to me.
No, but great addition to this lineup for sure. Like short radius carvers are so fun. Right,
it all makes sense. Like again, to like kind of bring this full circle and like, how does this fit between an M Free and an M Pro? The M Free 90, I think you could kind of say similar things about. Yep. It's easy to ski, it's forgiving, but it has a much different personality. Yeah. It's like, it's more of that twin tippy freestyle inspired shape, where this, which I think again like brings it back to why you liked it so much, is going to be better for a technical directional skier. Yep. And I think that's cool that they can kind of, like between M Free and M-Cross, they're basically providing the same things, but for different skiing styles.
And this is the 176. This is what we skied.
Like and you skied that. Yeah. Right, which is fascinating.
And felt very comfortable.
And there is a longer length,
there's a 184, which I would get if I were to get it. But, you know, and I kind of went through that with QST 92 as well, where I skied the 176. Yeah. And was like super impressed. Right. Like, so I think if you're caught in the middle, you can go shorter. Yeah.
Which I think, again, like also makes sense in why this ski compares to things like Blade. Yeah, totally. Like you don't need to go long there. It kind of defeats the purpose of the ski. Yeah. Where I think you could do the same thing in this. If you went too long, it would completely defeat the point of the ski.
Yep.
And you'd be like, what is all this?
No, I agree, and I've been kind of learning that more and more over the years. Is like certain skis you want to keep short.
Yep.
And this is a decent example of that.
Yep.
Again, like I'd still
Right.
go for the longer length myself, but certainly had no issues, even pushing this thing pretty quick.
Yep. So I think great ski.
Yep.
Yeah. Really interesting. I'm gonna be very curious if you see them a lot, because that hasn't happened with M Pro.
Yep.
And like we've been big advocates of M Pros.
Totally.
Like,
It's a great ski.
hey, look over
Yeah.
there. Like those skis are really good.
Yep.
And no one seems to look. I don't know. Will this kind of break through? I think it might, because it's a little different.
Yeah. No, I hope. I have high
do
hopes.
too. Yeah. Yeah. Like I would love to see a bunch of people at Stowe skiing on an
Yeah.
M-Cross 88.
Right. Daily driver.
Yeah.
One and only.
Yeah.
That's it.
Think about how many people you would see just skiing like controlled
Yeah.
compared to a normal day.
I
where,
love
like,
watching controlled skiing.
half the people on the mountain are out of control.
Yeah.
Like the M-Cross 88 would be a great tool for those skiers.
No, a nice companion for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. So that's it. Let us know if you have any questions about this M-Cross 88 or the narrower M-Cross ski. Is happy to answer those questions too. And we will talk to you soon.
Bye.